Hey you guys, what's up? I know I haven't been on in a while. I'm looking down because I have a verse that I want to reference tonight. I was reading. Sorry to be moving around. Let me stop moving. I was reading First Corinthians, chapter 10, and what struck me was verse 4. First Corinthians, for chapter 10, verse 4. First Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. And the verse pretty much talked about I'm gonna just read it for y'all so y'all can understand where I'm coming from. Alright, so the verse says, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of the spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. If y'all didn't get that, I just need you to go to First Corinthians chapter 10 and read all verses of the 10th chapter. It goes from 1 to 33. But I couldn't read um all of the verses because I'm going through a Bible study guide type of thing, so it's breaking up the verses. But in order for y'all to understand what they're talking about, you have to start with verse 1. But I wanted to talk about the spiritual rock. So when I first read this, let me read it again for y'all that probably wouldn't get it the first time. It says, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. There's so many messages in this particular verse, and it's like you really got to break it down to understand it. I'm gonna give y'all the Cliff Notes version. So the Cliff Notes version is this. When I read this verse, and it was talking about the people that was following God, was gonna drink was first of all they was gonna have a spiritual drink, right? So in your mind you're like, so what are they drinking? And it's spiritual. And so then there was like they're gonna be drinking from the spiritual rock. And you think, see, the first thing that popped in my head with the spiritual rock was, oh, it's an actual rock where God made water out of an actual rock. And it took away the thirst of some people in the Bible. And so when I read this, I was just astonished at people getting a drink from a rock. So that was my first thought. So then I kept reading, and then it says, and that rock was Christ, which means that Christ cured their thirst in the. I think it was in the wilderness. I didn't want to say the wilderness, and it wasn't the wilderness, but whatever the case may have been, God cured their thirst, and it to them it was the spiritual rock, but in reality, the spiritual rock was God, and so God poured out water unto them when they got thirsty. And I just wanted to come on and talk about that because number one, we're in the new year. Happy New Year! We're in the new year, and I don't know. It just when y'all go and read this chapter and this verse yourself, you're really gonna get an understanding of what is being said in this verse because it's so powerful. Let me read it again. As a matter of fact, let me go from First Corinthians verse 1 so we can get an understanding what brought us to verse 4. And it says, moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat. And did all drink the same spiritual drink? For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. Just think of it. We're in the new year. We want God to guide us. We want God to protect us. When we get thirsty, we want God. Whew, sorry. When we get thirsty, we want God to quench our thirst. And so, I don't know. I don't even know why I'm making this video, but I just wanted to come online and I just wanted you guys to read about this spiritual rock. It just touched me. Okay, so maybe I just need to talk about why it touched me. Um it made me curious. And the reason why it made me curious is because you're talking about these people walking through the sea and they was hungry, so they had spiritual meat. They were thirsty, so they had spiritual drink. So then they got my marbles up here to turn in, and it's like, so what is this spiritual meat and this spiritual drink that you're talking about? And so I kept reading, and it said the spiritual rock is Christ. Mm. And he created all things. So if he can give me spiritual meat, he can give me a spiritual drink. That's all I got to say, you guys. I just want y'all to go read that about the spiritual rock. It's just powerful. It just hit something in me. And I wanted to create a video about it, and here I am. So go and read about the spiritual rock, and I would love for you guys to start a conversation down below, and just know that God loves you. Be blessed.